Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, June 27, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the United States Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook for the next 3 weeks. We can see that by week 2 we have some amount of above average rainfall being seen across portions of the main development region, but we also see some yellow shades across the southern US and portions of the greater Antilles including Jamaica. What does that mean? If we take a look at the key at the bottom, the yellow shades represent some above average temperatures. So there's a chance that we might get in on some more, warm temperatures, maybe even some kind of heat wave taking place across the Caribbean, including the southern United States. They're already receiving a heat wave across sections of Mexico and Texas at this time, and it's slowly spilling its way eastward into the southeastern US. So who knows, they might actually make its way into portions of the greater Antilles as well. But that's around the time period July 5 to July 11. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. We know how the weather is. Things can change. And if we also look around July 12 to July 18, we still see more above normal rainfall across the main development region. What does all of that mean? If we see above normal rainfall across the main development region, that means more tropical waves coming off of Africa and moving westward towards the Caribbean. And with the darker shades of green embedded in there, that means some tremendous rainfall is coming around week 3. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. We know how the Climate Prediction Center can be. Sometimes, it actually happens, sometimes it doesn't. So it's just a waiting game at this point. Let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that there's a trough across portions of Florida. We can also see that there's a cold front across portions of the southeastern United States. We can still see that air of low pressure associated with the leftovers of Tropical Storm Cindy. We can see a line right here that's associated with a tropical wave that's affecting portions of the eastern Caribbean. So all of the leeward, almost all the leeward and majority of the windward islands getting in on some amount of cloud cover, showers and thunderstorms at this time associated with that tropical wave. And we can also see another tropical wave right there to the southwest of the Cape Verde Islands. Taking a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, let's reload these images so that we have the latest images to show. So we can see the clouds associated with that air of low pressure right there to the north of Puerto Rico. That's the leftovers of Tropical Storm Cindy. Still spinning its way right there, still expected to move north by the United States National Hurricane Center. And maybe still a possibility that it might develop. Maybe a 30% chance is still there. We can see that we do indeed have a lot of cloud cover right there, showers and thunderstorms across portions of the leeward and windward islands, and all of this is expected to make its way westward into the central and western Caribbean, affecting Jamaica starting around Friday into Saturday into Sunday. So we're definitely in for a very wet weekend. So areas that are crying for some amount of rainfall right now: Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Thomas, Port Morians. Definitely we're going to be getting a nice cool down with all the rainfall that's expected from this very large tropical wave. So it's not a strong tropical wave, it's just a very large tropical wave. So the chances of us not getting rainfall from this tropical wave are very much slim. So we're definitely in for some rainfall, and it's going to be starting Friday and going into Saturday and even Sunday. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. There's definitely some amount of flash flooding taking place in parts of the eastern Caribbean at this time. Alright, so we'll talk more about the Caribbean's weather later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday. It was stated in yesterday's video that we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of northern and western parishes in Jamaica during the afternoon. And if you actually remember yesterday's video, we also made mention that we would have been receiving a northwesterly kind of wind shear. And we know that when we have that northwesterly flow of wind shear, we might have those upper level clouds being pushed off when they become cumulonimbus clouds, being pushed off towards the southeast across the island, bringing more overcast skies to some southern parishes. And we did mention that in yesterday's video, and we indeed got that overcast skies across majority of the south coast, although more of us were wanting some of that rainfall to come in. We got overcast skies. It's better we take what we can get. It's better than the sunshine. And we even saw some amount of these clouds when they spilled over into the south coast because of the upper level wind shear. Some of these clouds actually contributed to some amount of rainfall across sections of some southern parishes as well. Even sections of some western parishes got in on some tremendous rainfall. So, if we actually take a look at the first post that was made on our Twitter page at 12:45 p.m., we see that it's saying Tuesday afternoons, infrared close-up satellite image shows clouds bring overcast skies and or isolated thunder showers to sections of St. Mary, western Portland, eastern St. Anne, northern St. Catherine, and northern St. Andrew. And that was the first round of rainfall before all of this cloud mass and the daytime heating contributed to more thunderstorms across the island. So we saw that cloud cover across especially in western Portland, portions of St. Mary, northern St. Andrew, as well as northern St. Catherine right there. And we even had confirmation of all of those lightning flashes and the rainfall. Look at these comments. J30J stating definitely St. Anne getting rain, and SJXY stating rain a fall hard. So they definitely gotten on some of that rainfall at the time that post was made. Skipping ahead to about 2:05 p.m. another post was made. Tuesday afternoon's infrared close-up satellite images show clouds bring overcast skies and or isolated thunder showers to sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica. So look at that. We saw that upper level wind shear pushing all of those high cold cloud tops off towards the south and east, which explains all of the overcast skies that we got across sections of St. Catherine, Portmore, Kingston, and St. Andrew, and even portions of St. Thomas today. But we know that the usual thunderstorms, where all of the rainfall is located, is usually wherever these sparkling white dots are. We know the sparkling white dots represent some amount of lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. Just want to reiterate that we can have a lot of these sparkling white dots. That doesn't mean all of that lightning is touching the ground and striking anything, any object at all. It could be just some lightning flashes up in the clouds. So we did indeed see some of that across some eastern, central, and western parishes. If not overcast skies, definitely some amount of rainfall, and we definitely saw it especially across northern parishes in Jamaica. Look at that. Portland got in on some of that, definitely sections of St. Mary, St. Anne. So the prediction actually came true. St. James, Hanover as usual. And we even had the commenters confirming this rainfall. Sue111 stating we're having isolated thunderstorms to the sections of Westmoreland. And Dana Clark, it's overcast here in Negril with thunders rolling. Taking a look at our Facebook page, Angela Bennett stating Manchester, we're having rain in Christiana. Then Stacy stating what happened to southern parishes, we need some rain. Stacy definitely going to be getting in on some rainfall tomorrow. Then even on our Instagram page to confirm this afternoon rainfall, we had Tailinator stating rain plus lightning and thunder in Clarendon. Then another commenter stating crazy rain and lightning in eastern Hanover since 12. That's Jamaican country girl. Then another commenter right here on, well, let's go to our other post at 4:35 p.m. So we see that we had actually 3 posts being made today on our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok pages highlighting the duration of the rainfall. We had it from about a little bit after 12 and even up to the late afternoon hours. We still had some of that. So Tuesday afternoon's infrared close-up satellite images continue to show clouds bringing thunder showers to sections of St. James, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, and Hanover, Jamaica, with overcast skies elsewhere. So we did indeed still have that overcast skies across sections of some central and eastern parishes in Jamaica, but we know wherever we have those sparkling white dots, that's where we have the rainfall and the thunderstorms. So we definitely had that still taking place at that time across sections of Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and St. James. So they definitely indeed got in on some of that rainfall, especially northern parishes, and with the wind shear blowing all of those high cold cloud tops off towards the southeast. This explains why sections of some southern parishes, Clarendon, especially northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, got in on some of that rainfall, and we're definitely grateful for that. We had Lisa stating in St. James, rain start from 1 and non-stop. Then Ryan stating thunderstorm in Hanover. Taking a look at the visible close-up satellite images before the sun went down, we can see where we had that easterly flow of winds and clouds across the island today. Then those clouds became cumulonimbus clouds, and then those high cold cloud tops were being blown off. This is just the visible satellite images where we see just whites. This is how it actually looks from out there in space. But when we take a look at the infrared satellite images, when we take a look at the key at the side, we know that the clouds are represented by the whites, then blues, then the greens, then the yellows, oranges, and reds, and then the blacks and the purples. If it gets into the blacks and purples, you know that's some severe rainfall, if not some kind of tropical depression or tropical storm, even hurricane kind of like conditions. So we saw that it went up to at least the black end of the scale. So they definitely indeed got in on some amount of slightly severe thunderstorms, especially across areas of the cockpit country right there where we saw those heavy amount of lightning strikes. And we know that we're supposed to take necessary precautions when there is that abundance of lightning in the area. So we know we're supposed to stay away from the windows, you know, not use the plumbing, don't wash the dishes, don't take a shower, don't stand in the doorway, don't be out there under a tree. Lightning is very dangerous, and when you're struck by lightning, that affects your brain. Trust me, you don't want to be struck by lightning. So ensure that take necessary precautions in this thunderstorm season. The thunderstorm season started early this year and it's going to be ending, let's say, around November. So do take necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected. So these are the latest satellite images. We can still see that we had some clouds right there off the west coast of Jamaica, but majority of this is, well, has been dissipating as the evening progressed. So we don't see the sparkling white dots, which means that it's toning down, rainfall is wrapping up. So it's definitely going to be a cool night across sections of some western parishes in Jamaica. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images, the Cuban Doppler radar images, that is, considering that the Jamaican Doppler radars has been down for quite some time, we can still see some greens that represent some light rain. The greens are on the lighter end of the scale, so we have some greens that represent some light rain still across sections of some western parishes in Jamaica. So maybe sections of St. Elizabeth, Manchester getting in on some rainfall, but it's all wrapping up right now, mostly some drizzle at this time. Taking a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours. So it makes sense. We saw that rainfall right there across northern St. Catherine, northern St. Andrew, St. Mary, St. Anne at first. Then all of this started to spill its way westward. I'm pretty sure that it's even more robust than this, but we do see that it paints quite the picture that the very areas that we just mentioned that got the rainfall, that's where we actually saw the rainfall. So northern St. Catherine, northern Clarendon, northern Manchester, northern St. Elizabeth, definitely Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, and St. Anne for sure. Alright, so let's just take a look at the temperatures for tonight. We can see we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 27 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual as the night progresses, these temperatures should be getting lower. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see both the Euro and the GFS malls are showing that for 18th on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, we should be having some slightly above average temperatures, at least 1 degree Celsius above normal at most. We know that the average temperatures for the month of June in Jamaica is about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the equivalent of 32.2 degrees Celsius. So if we should be receiving at least 1 degree Celsius above normal temperatures for tomorrow, it should be anywhere from 32 to 33 degrees Celsius at most. Taking a look at the dry air map now, we can see that we still have a lot of moist air across majority of the Caribbean, especially contributing to all of that afternoon convection that we've been having lately. Not to mention all of that rainfall across sections of the eastern Caribbean associated with that tropical wave. We see a lot of dry air across portions of the Gulf of Mexico, Florida, as well as the area right there to the west and northwest of Africa. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, this is 2 p.m. on Wednesday, and we do indeed see those darker shades of brown still to the north and east of the Caribbean, not to mention across majority of the main development region. We hope it stays out there. We don't need all of the Saharan dust bringing hazy skies or triggering anyone's sinusitis or asthma or allergies at this time. We only want these lighter shades of Saharan dust. We don't even notice this right now across majority of the Caribbean. We don't even see it in the sky with the hazy or milky kind of look to the atmosphere, and we hope that it stays that way. It hasn't been that robust this year thus far, and let us hope it stays like that. Alright, so let us take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow. We can see that for 12 p.m. on both the Euro and the GFS malls, we see a lot of blue surrounding the island. The blues represent up to at least 1 meter wave heights. On both the Euro and the GFS, we have some weak waves across surrounding the island for tomorrow, so it's going to be a nice day for fishermen. And that's due to the fact that we're going to be receiving some weak winds, up to at least 10 knot winds at most. The winds are going to be coming in from the east. We see more of an easterly flow on the GFS. The Euro showing more of a variable flow. Look at the north coast, more coming in from the north, south coast coming in from the south. Either way, we do indeed see that air piling up across inland areas of some southern parishes in Jamaica. So we're definitely in for some amount of afternoon convection. We see that stretching from the east to the west across the island, and the upper level wind shear seems to be coming more from the north tomorrow. So whatever develops in the inland portion of the island is gonna be pushed off towards the south, affecting more southern parishes. And with the lack of trade winds, or the lack of intensity or strength with the trade winds, because these winds are very with 10 knots, there's a chance that these afternoon convection might be, somewhat severe, some lots of lightning, thunder, whatever the case may be. So especially, people on the south coast who have been wanting all of the rainfall, definitely coming for tomorrow. So definitely take necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected. Umbrella, rain gear, whatever the case may be, because this wind shear coming in from the north is going to be doing something similar to what we saw today. So that afternoon convection developing, pushing it off towards the southeast. We're going to be having that afternoon convection developing across some inland areas of some southern parishes, and then that's going to be blown off towards the south. So definitely some rainfall in store for tomorrow. Let us take a look at the precipitation forecast for tomorrow. We can see that the blues represent some amount of rainfall, and we see some blues that represent rainfall across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica on the GFS map. What time is this? This is about 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6 a.m. Jamaica time. So some rainfall in store for northern and eastern parishes according to the GFS. What does the Euro show? The Euro is having some amount of disagreement with what the GFS is showing. It shows rain for Jamaica, but a different part of Jamaica. We see that rainfall across sections of St. James, Trelawney, especially the waters to the north of St. James and Trelawney. We see a lot of greens and even some yellows in there that indicate some tremendous rainfall at that time. You know that when we have disagreement like this, we don't know what exactly is going to unfold. It's going to be interesting to see what exactly unfolds. I'm going to be keeping you updated on my Twitter page, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok about what exactly unfolds at 6 a.m. tomorrow. So we'll see exactly which one of the models win. Is it going to be the Euro? Is it going to be the GFS? We'll see exactly how that unfolds. However, skipping ahead, this is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. Look at all of those colors. We don't normally see those greens or even some oranges, and we see them both on the Euro and the GFS malls. This is 1 p.m. Jamaica time. Look at all of that rainfall starting from eastern Jamaica, stretching all the way to western Jamaica, especially inland areas at first. We see some greens in Kingston, St. Andrew, even sections of Western St. Thomas right there. Look at what the Euro is showing even some oranges in there that represent even some more deep convection, but that is more situated across sections of Manchester, Clarendon right there. But we do indeed see the consensus rainfall eastern, central, western parishes with those blues. Skipping ahead to about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we see much of the same on the GFS. Greens, even some yellows in there across sections of Clarendon, just like what we saw with the tremendous rainfall across sections of Clarendon on the Euro model. But the Euro is, calming down by 3 p.m. But we do indeed still see some blues that represent rainfall, especially across southern parishes. So we're definitely in for some amount of rainfall across the island, stretching all the way from eastern Jamaica to western Jamaica, with the bias mainly across southern parishes in Jamaica. So anywhere from St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, there's definitely some amount of rainfall in store for you guys tomorrow. And with all of those colors that signify some tremendous rainfall, there's a chance that those afternoon convection, that might be some severe rainfall, some lots of tremendous lightning flashes, thunder, whatever the case may be. Try to take necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected. If you have errands to run, try to get them done as soon as possible in the morning, because the afternoon is going to be quite festive. And we do indeed see some consensus, we see agreement on the accumulated precipitation forecast. We see that both the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. And we see that rainfall stretching from eastern, central, and western parishes on both maps. And we see the oranges, we see the reds. GFS is a bit more robust, showing up to 1.8 inches of rainfall. And look at where that's situated across sections of Clarendon. We see the oranges across sections of St. Catherine and Kingston and St. Andrew. So definitely some amount of rainfall in store for Jamaica for tomorrow. And we're indeed grateful that we're going to be receiving all of this rainfall. We usually receive up to 133 millimeters of rainfall during the month of June. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to continue to put a dent in the hydrological drought that we're experiencing across the island. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. Alright, so let us reload these images so that we have the latest to show. So we can still see that we have a lot of clouds stretching from Africa into portions of the main development region associated with the tropical wave train, not to mention the intertropical convergence zone. And we can see a lot of cloud cover still across portions of Central America. These are all the leftover clouds of what was left of Tropical Storm Brett, still bringing some amount of overcast sky showers and thunderstorms to sections of Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, still getting in on some amount of rainfall. We also see a lot of cloud cover bringing a lot of rainfall to sections of the Eastern Caribbean, sections of Hispaniola as well, and we can see a lot of cloud cover across sections of Venezuela and Guyana as usual. We see some rainfall into sections of northeastern Suriname and French Guyana as well. Let us take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean. We know the Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall over an area and not necessarily the satellite, what the satellite images show. Satellite images can show cloud cover over an area, not necessarily rainfall. So we do indeed see that usual afternoon convection across sections of central and western Puerto Rico, as well as northern Puerto Rico right there. We do see some rainfall across sections of the US and British Virgin Islands, sections of St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, sections of St. John's, St. Bart's, sections of Montserrat, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, getting in on some amount of rainfall, even spilling into sections of St. Lucia. Let's take a look at the Barbados radar. Barbados have been having some tremendous rainfall today, maybe even some flash flooding, especially across the southern part of the island. They might even be getting more rainfall than what was predicted by Tropical Storm Brett. So this tropical wave is really doing a number on Barbados at this time. And we can see, if we zoom out, that we still have that rainfall across sections of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada. And we can also see some of that rainfall as well across sections of Guadeloupe. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall across sections of Cuba, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, Belize, just like what we mentioned a while ago on the satellite images, Honduras, Nicaragua. You can also see that rainfall that we just mentioned across sections of northeastern Suriname and French Guiana as well. As relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see average to some slightly above normal temperatures, stretching all the way from the eastern Caribbean to the western Caribbean for tomorrow, with the most above normal temperatures still associated with that heat wave that section of Texas and the central and southern US are experiencing at this time. And it is this heat wave that the Climate Prediction Center is predicting for week 2 to spill into sections of the central Caribbean, including the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Jamaica, Cuba, and Hispaniola. So we'll see exactly what unfolds with that. We know the Climate Prediction Center can be wrong sometimes. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast, we can see that we do indeed have that Saharan dust, especially across the main development region, as indicated by those darker shades of browns. And we have some lighter shades of browns across majority of the central and western Caribbean. We hope it stays that way. We don't even notice that the Saharan dust is here, because that dust plume is so weak. And we know that we're actually stepping into the time of year when we usually receive that tremendous dust coming off of Africa. So we actually hope that it doesn't, get more robust than this and, trigger anyone's asthma, sinus, or allergies at this time. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we have both the Euro and the GFS malls showing that the highest wave height should be right there after the northeast of the Caribbean, as indicated by the purples. Not to mention right there off the coast of Mexico across the Pacific, where we have a new tropical storm over there to worry about. So that's the first tropical storm of the season. I believe it's the A storm. Definitely, but we won't be talking about that. But that explains why we see that red that represent up to 2-meter wave heights, even 4 or 5-meter wave heights right there. So the rest of the Caribbean should be experiencing some blues, anywhere from 0 to at least 1.5-meter wave heights, and that's due to the fact that the strongest winds are going to be right there, coming in from the east, up to 20 knots at most in most areas, with the yellows representing 25-knot winds right there to the north of Colombia, as well as to the east of the Leeward Islands. As relates to the rain forecast for tomorrow, we can see even more rain anywhere from Hispaniola eastward and the southward, all because of that tropical wave. And it's this tropical wave that's going to be slowly making its way westward into portions of Jamaica. So even up to an inch of rainfall that can lead to some flash flooding from Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, the Leeward Islands, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, sections of St. Bart, St. Kitts and Nevis, Guadeloupe, sections of Dominica, Martinique, sections of Barbados, sections of, let's say, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. We can also see some rainfall right there across sections of Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana as usual. The usual rainfall with those South American countries: Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, sections of Guatemala, Belize, and Mexico as well. And we see both the Euro and the GFS mall showing the same thing. And we know that when they're showing the same thing like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. We can also see some rainfall into sections of southern Florida, the Bahamas, and sections of Cuba, but we don't see much rainfall across sections of the Cayman Islands, but they do seem like they might get in on some slight rainfalls indicated by those shades of greens. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.